doesn't really show it that way on the television. I can probably mellow that down a little bit. Nope, make it brighter. Nope, brighter. There we go. Lowest you got. Turn it that way a little bit.
When do we come up on the TV?
It's got a little short delay on it, but then it'll. There we go. See. Chat room's up.
Did you put a label on it or do that later?
Just chatting for a few minutes. At the top says living with DID, hashtag DID.
It's good.
So, probably gonna mute that a little bit.
Why?
Because you'll just hear us talking back and it might pick it up and start making a loop.
Yeah, we don't want that.
So...
We need to look in the camera, though. Instead of looking up there.
Yeah, I know.
So, because we want to be personal.
Yes. Important to be personal. Professional. Good day. But I've already introduced myself once before. I am Xander. I am the gatekeeper of the other altars. Slightly psychotic, very mean, narcissistic, sociopath.
Says the altar.
Yeah.
To his audience.
Yeah. Fear me.
Narcissistic, definitely.
Yeah. So, anyway. This channel is going to be about what it's like having DID, relationships, and such, the strain it puts on them.
So who the fuck am I?
You are our host, Ernie's girlfriend.
Hey!
Your name is Micah Q, or as he likes to call you when you get bossy, Miss Qualls. So, y'all can just call her Miss Qualls. One of the first things that I wanted to talk about is to kind of lift the stigma that surrounds people with DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. It was formerly known as multiple personality disorder. And that is that everyone that suffers from DID is psychotic or has psychotic tendencies. Prime example coming from that is
the new documentary
on Netflix about Billy Middleton, whatever his name is. That's not how everybody with DID operates. Yes, I am a hostile personality. Alter, whatever, but I'm not violent. I'm not gonna go rob somebody. I'm not gonna go rape somebody. I guess another main important thing is that it is a real disorder. Some would say disease. I say disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, disorder's in the word.
Right. Plus, disease implies that it's treatable. In most cases, for a lot of people, it's not. There's treatments that you can go under, but, there's really no, cure for it.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It just depends, on your system. People that suffer with DID, their alters are called a system. And Ernie, the host, not Xander, named this system Havoc, which I call it a working title because I believe that
We like Havoc, though.
he feels as though their presence has wreaked havoc in his life. And I believe that they should try to find symbiosis or peace amongst each other as a system. And so I call it a working title because I would like for it to be less hostile for all of them so they can all be happy.
Yeah. But there's a lot of, like I said, each of us is our own person. We all have our own agendas, our own wants, our own desires, and such. So, I guess next would probably be a run through of all the personalities. Well, I'm just gonna go through the active ones because there's quite a few, but they basically are irrelevant. They don't really have anything to do with the core system. But at the core is myself. Um,
As of recently.
this was a recent thing. For the longest time, okay, well, you know what? We'll go through the whole backstory here. Why not? I was gonna save it for later, but we'll go ahead and do it now. So, at a young age, the host Ernie uh, became as is, and then this is also something we'll touch on is the case with a lot of people who suffer from DID. It all stems back to a traumatic event in childhood that is what I could equate to probably the closest thing to being in a living hell, and the young mind can't really handle or really conceive what's happening, and so it starts off with dissociating and just distancing yourself from what's going on, what your body is going through, whether it be sexual, physical abuse, emotional abuse, um, witnessing something very traumatic, just any kind of really traumatic experience. And, it starts with, just separating, pulling your own conscious mind out of that is how it starts. And when that's not necessarily enough, your psyche or your personality splinters and creates this whole new uh, basically
Vapey
personality.
McVaperson.
So anyway, that's her favorite word. Long story short, um, Ernie the host went through a traumatic event and he splintered, and his first personality to come about was Garrett. And so Garrett served as his guardian and his protector, and anytime he got into any situations, more when the abuse ensued, you know, Ernie would dissociate, Garrett would come out, take the beatings, the rape, the all the punishment for him, so that he would never have to live with that trauma.
And they use the term split or splinter off, but it's not like that movie.
No.
In fact, most dramatized versions of DID are very elaborately extra.
Yes.
And
even Sybil.
Even Sybil. I mean, Split's cool as hell, but it's not very accurate. Is that fair to say?
Correct. I recently rewatched Split, and there was a lot to it that was accurate. Like the scientific element of it was pretty accurate, but as for Kevin Wendell Crumb and Barry and all the personalities themselves were, a little less accurate. That was more for dramatic effect. People who have DID don't usually have personalities that are like that. I mean, I will admit, I'm not far off from being sinister. It's just I do what I want to do to live my life the way I want, and I don't care who it hurts. Um, but anyway, moving along. Um, so of all the years of abuse and everything, every time a new traumatic event would happen, another part of his personality would split and become a different um, alternate personality, whatever you want to call it. I call alters. Um, to the point where he had about 10 living in him. But Garrett, being the protector and the gatekeeper, never let anyone else out. There was a period of time when Ernie, the host, was having a lot of problems processing and dealing with his rage. He was having anger issues. Um, so whenever he would get angry, he had a alter named Gambit who is very aggressive, um, and really likes to fight. So he would, come to the front and to the spotlight and wreak his havoc on whatever the situation was calling for. And so after a period of time, uh, and a lot of um, therapy,
Trying to
he
cover my boobs and the boobs hanging out.
he yeah, that's
I'm working on it.
it's band. If you have to, like, pull a blanket up to you, because one nip slip and we're banned.
Oh no. That's why I keep checking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But anyway, after therapy,
Gambit went away.
he gained more control over his anger to where Gambit wasn't necessary anymore, and so Garrett stopped letting Gambit out, and so it wasn't until also you got to keep in mind that this whole entire time that these altars were coming out, Ernie had no idea that that's what was going on. He just felt like he was just blacking out and losing time. And he actually went to his mother several times and told her, hey, Mom, uh, I'm losing time. And bless her heart, his mother, didn't really understand the situation. Just thought the poor boy was telling her that he can't tell time. That he can't read a clock.
And since all this has come out recently in your life, at this age, your mother has been Ernie's mother has been really helpful in kind of putting some pieces together as she remembers things differently now that these things have started coming out at this time in your life.
Right. It's all the what they say about hindsight.
Right.
Is basically what it is. So it wasn't until he was about 2021. His father had recently passed away. Well, his father passed away, and the day that he passed away, he was sitting in the bathtub with his girlfriend at the time. You know, I guess still trying to process everything, and then all the emotional, uh, the emotionalness of it all um, hit him, and it was a lot more pain than he was able to tolerate. So Garrett allowed him to dissociate and took over so that he could have some peace and work things out
Except this
away.
time, someone was there.
Yes, and except this time
And
a
he
person was
revealed
there,
himself.
and he revealed himself to the girlfriend. Uh, I'm still not clear on the amount of time that Garrett was out, because like I said, during all this time, we were there, we were in his head, but we weren't allowed to come out. Because after Gambit, Garrett decided no more personalities are coming out. I guess he felt that was his way of protecting Ernie from us, or maybe was hoping, if not allowing him to use us as a crutch, that he would have to face those traumas without, using us. I don't know his reasons. We've never had that conversation about that.
Well, because I could have it with him, but you don't. They need to understand that you can't communicate with that the host cannot communicate with the alters.
No, but I'm saying I've never talked to Garrett about it. So then Ernie comes back. He's sitting in the water. He's very confused about what had just happened. He just felt like he blacked out for a second, but then looked over, and his girlfriend was in the other side of the bathroom, wrapped up in a towel, cowering in the corner, going, "What the fuck just happened, and where the fuck did you go? Because that was not you."
Yeah.
And he was very confused about it, and that's
basically the first time
That's the first time he ever learned of Garrett. And then over the years, he kind of started, at first it scared him. He didn't understand exactly what Garrett was exactly, but over time he realized that it's just basically he's a self-defense mechanism for when he can't handle things. And for the longest time, that's how it had been. It's just him and Garrett. And then,
he revealed himself to many people.
Yeah, Garrett would reveal himself to many people. Many people from his past knew about him.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it, because it was really that it's not necessarily that Garrett wanted to come out. It was more of a defense mechanism.
Right. Because there's, like I said,
Ernie would be in an argument, for example, with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Garrett would come out.
So, and then within the last 7 months, after having a conversation with Miss Qualls.
Why you gotta use my full ass Christian name? Okay.
With Micah.
Why don't you tell the love story?
Listen. I'm just trying to get. I'm trying to get it summed up quickly to.
Well, I like to tell stories.
I know you do, Miss Long Story Short, and I'm trying.
Well, long story short.
Well, you go ahead. You go ahead and tell a love story. I'll sit back for a second, and then when you get to the part of the phone call, I'll step in.
Okay. Long story short.
I hope you got about an hour. Make some popcorn.
Fuck that shit.
Go to the bathroom now.
Let me just keep covering up my titties. All right. So, Ernie and I, the host, not Xander, met on a dating app. And it was at a time in my life where I just gone through a divorce in the past year. And he was sweet and he was nerdy and he was nothing like what I would date at all. Literally. But I was at this point where dudes are trash and I wanted to branch out and see if there are nicer guys and if my picker is wrong. And so I met Ernie and we began to chat, and he was very interesting, and he lived in my town. And because he lived in my town, it made it easy for us to meet up. So I literally was like, yo, do you want to meet? Like right now, let's go eat. And that was March 1st of 2021. And we've been together ever since. He asked me we took it really slow. And he asked me to be his girlfriend like a real gentleman. And what's that mean?
One of your.
Oh, good. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and it was really romantic, and it's been romantic, and everything was good. And then probably 2 months, 1 month, and 2 months into the relationship, I met Garrett on my couch. We were kind of having tiny, it wasn't like real serious, but a discussion. And I had a lot of boundaries up, and I was really guarding my heart because of my past heartbreaks and stuff. And so I would sometimes.
Then you are more than welcome to leave. If you don't,
Okay,
I'm
first of all.
I'm not here to convince you that it's real or not.
First of all, welcome to the channel. And if you don't believe that, that's fine, but maybe stick around and then you will hear some things that resonate with you. So Ernie the host, not Xander, this is Xander. Ernie the host and I had a whirlwind romance, and I met Garrett for the first time on my couch. And even though I've never met anyone in real life with DID and just learned what I knew about it from college and life and Wikipedia and whatever, documentaries and movies, I knew exactly what was happening. Right before my eyes, his entire body language changed. Wow. Awesome. Real good person.
Can't really do it from here. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. As a matter of fact, excuse me while I drop the band hammer on this moron. There we go. This is why Twitch is toxic.
I've never been. That was awful. Did you even see the rest of it?
I didn't see the thing he said after that now.
Side note, I'm a sexual assault survivor, so thanks for that.
Twitch is a very toxic community. You get plenty of people like that. That's why it's good to always have a moderator that comes and just instantly bans people like that. So, as we were saying.
So I met Garrett, and Ernie's body language completely changed. His posture, his pupils changed. He has a massive knee injury he did not have all of a sudden. And he also spoke with a glaring Irish accent, and I knew exactly what it was when it was happening. And so I didn't freak out. He had not told me about Garrett. He was actually pretty ashamed to talk about it because he didn't understand it and also thought people would think he was crazy. Ernie, I believe. And this is part of his journey. He wants to make these videos. And his doctor supports him to make these videos to try to help others. But Garrett didn't freak me out at all. He was really nice. He was very old-fashioned. He told me I cussed too much. And he said that I had a sailor's mouth or something like that. But he was really nice. And I knew that right then, I already knew, we had been pretty open that Ernie had PTSD and things like that. So I was already aware that Ernie had trauma. So when Garrett presented, it made sense to me. It just all clicked. He was there for about 10-15 minutes. Then Ernie came back. And I was like, hey, and he said, you met Garrett, didn't you? And I was like, yes, that's his name. Cool. And so time goes by. We get closer as a couple. And I start to realize that Ernie, the host, not Xander. Wow, is this the time of night? Maybe I should just let the man speak so that...
No, you're fine. Just for any of you other brain-damaged virgins sitting there
incels waiting to shoot up a school, you punk bitch.
Waiting to make another little comment, just know there's no warnings in this channel. It's just instantly, permanently banned. So, that's all there is to it.
It's not even
zero tolerance. There's zero. You want to say, you can say and argue about DID all you want, but you will not make sexual, disrespectful comments in here. You will instantly be fucking banned. So, make that clear to you stupid little mongoloids now.
I think mongoloid's out of fashion, Xander.
I don't care.
Xander's an alter, so you can't hold it against him. But anyways, fast forward, I started to realize that Ernie was... Okay, I got suspicious. Because, we're still in that new stage. And I got suspicious that Ernie was not talking to his doctors about actually having multiple personality. And of course, I only knew about Garrett. That's all we knew about. But that was one too many to not be actually getting help for. And so I
think I might be a little bit cooler head to be dealing with these people than him.
Oh, hey Garrett. I was just talking about you.
Hello, I'm Garrett. Sorry, Xander's got a real short fuse, and rather him not start spouting out things that might get us banned right off the bat. He doesn't really understand there's things you can and you can't fucking say on a stream.
Can you cuss?
You can swear all you want, but you can't hurl derogatory insults at people. Not anymore.
Well, but like I explained, he's an alter and he doesn't know certain things about...
That doesn't matter. It's Twitch guidelines.
Okay, well, Garrett, now that you're here, I was just talking about the first time I met you and how you're very nice. And Xander had been talking about how for many years you were the only alter who presented. And so I guess you should probably talk about and tell about yourself, because I was just trying to get to the part where Xander came and the rest.
Right.
Our pretty light is out.
Fixing that right now. Thank God for fucking battery packs.
What I want is more men to come on this Twitch and say horrible things about what they want to do to women, because that just proves our point that people suck.
No provoking. Let's not do that.
You know I'm not good at that.
Just let you know.
I'm a lover. I mean, I'm a fighter, not a lover.
You're something, alright. No bloody hell.
He's trying to fix the light.
I'm sorry.
So anyways, back to the love story. I started to push Ernie. I don't know what he talks about at therapy. I knew he was in therapy, but I didn't. I just started getting suspicious that he had not told his doctors that he has a alter. At the time, we just thought was Garrett. And I, being Miss Qualls, as Xander called me a while ago, which is a joke because I have a teacher demeanor, I kind of started pushing him about it, and one night I pushed until he admitted he had never told his doctors, his therapist, his psychiatrist, that he had an alter. And I said, wow, like, why do you not see the problem in that? Why do you not see that as problematic? Why do you not see that's real bright?
I can turn it down. Oh, that was all. Actually, that's the
all I was one. Okay.
I can change the filter.
No, it's okay.
So it's not.
I'd rather you be on here. This is not about me.
Well, you're getting through all the boring shite that I don't want to talk about.
I'm getting through the boring shite that he doesn't want to talk about. And so he admitted to me in this. It wasn't like an argument. Ernie and I, the host, do not argue like that, but it was a heated discussion, I guess you would call it. And oh God, I feel like I'm. Beam me up. The aliens are taking me.
Is that butter?
Yeah.
Is that butter or?
I like that one. As far as my eyeballs go. Yeah. It's reflecting off my glasses, but we can't help that.
Yeah. Turn it up a little bit. Oh, actually, I think that looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
It cools out that light.
Right. Okay, so Ernie admits that he's never told his doctor that he has an alter, and I literally am like, do you not see that this is holding you back from your mental health journey? We had serious discussion, and he actually said, no offense, Garrett, or any of the alters, but he said that he loved me more than he loved them. And this was a pivotal moment because he was basically saying, because he knew, so his admission that he had not told his doctors was because flat out he did not want Garrett to go away.
Aye.
He had not told his doctors because he thought that they would try to fix it by making him go away, and Garrett had always been there for him when things got tough, real tough, bad tough, sad tough, and medium tough, but he had never told his doctor because that was something. Oh, you might notice people with DID will always fix their hair because they're their own person, and they usually don't like their host body, and they want to change things and look like how they feel they are. So it's a little bit of interesting information we've learned about DID through this journey.
Right.
So he tries to put me off, but I kept pushing that he's going to talk to the doctor. And he again stated that he loved me more than his fear of telling the doctor. And oh, by the way, Xander wanted, when it got to the phone call, do you remember the phone call?
Yes.
He wanted to talk about that. Do you want to talk about the phone call? Or would you want me to continue?
Oh, he wanted to take over
At the phone call.
Right.
Because he didn't want to talk about the love story, of course.
Of course not. All right. So it got to the point where, like I said, Ernie had agreed to, uh, seek help and actually tell a professional about the fact that of what was going on with him. Because of course, he didn't know that his official, what he was going through was DID, and because up till this point I've been keeping all the other ones at bay, because that's basically was my role as the gatekeeper.
And he told me that.
And
when we started to meet for about 10 minutes at a time, he told me, I asked him, were there others? He told me there were 4 others at the first time we talked about it. Because I started asking questions. I started being like Miss Research Scientist. I was like, let me record this shit on the slick and stuff. Because I thought it would help Ernie, And so Garrett told me that his job was to protect Ernie and keep the other ones inside. So there were others that we had no idea about. And when I told Ernie about it after Garrett told me there were others, Ernie said, oh, he says that shite to everybody. Well, Ernie doesn't say shite. Garrett does. But Ernie said, he says that shit to all my girlfriends. Let me guess, their names were blah, 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 and blah. And I was like, no, I wrote them all down in my phone as he was talking because, like I said, I was being like Miss Thorough Research Detective and had written everything down he was saying to give notes to Ernie when Ernie returned. And so we knew there were others, but they had not presented until
Ernie got on the phone call.
What was the phone call? Like, how did that go? What is the phone call and how did it go down?
Well, what it was is, that you'd finally convinced him to speak to a doctor about, what was going on, and, so he could get a proper diagnosis for what he deals with. And while on the phone, the moment that he started speaking to the doctor in the inner world, as we call it, where us alters reside, basically all hell broke loose, and what was generally calm and orderly just became chaos. And I ended up getting into an altercation with Xander about basically, as he put it, keeping them locked up like a bunch of inmates. And they basically all just kind of flew into a self-preservation mode. I found myself losing the ability to keep them in check anymore. And they just started to surface one after another and just rapidly presenting themselves. And it was a total...
Do you mind?
Well,
I just think what was important was that, yes, because I loved Ernie at this point months ago, and because I love Ernie, the host body today, I respected him in his own time calling that doctor after hours. And he insisted on telling it himself. I didn't do it. I didn't say, my boyfriend has DID. Listen to me. Let me insert myself into this. Not at all. But Ernie also respected me and my judgment since I had interacted with Garrett to fill in any of the gaps with the doctor. But it was Ernie who said the words out loud. And unbeknownst to me, he says, "I'd like for you to speak to my girlfriend, if you would, so that she can fill in some of the gaps, because I'm not obviously present when my alter Garrett presents." And he goes outside to smoke, which at the time I didn't think was a big deal. But I thought, why does he not want to hear everything I'm saying to his doctor? What if I say something bad? Or, like, I wouldn't let somebody speak to my doctor and not be like, what you saying? But what had happened was, as soon as Ernie admitted to a professional, someone who could help him, we know now that he had a psychotic break, which the inner world went into chaos.
They basically went into fight or flight self-preservation mode.
Because they consider the only treatment for DID is called integration. There's other trauma therapies that are needed.
Well, also, gotta understand, at the time, it was a period of just pure ignorance for them, because they had no idea what was going to happen. Didn't know if like a pill was going to be taken and then they'll just all be silenced, or
yeah, that was a concern that Ernie had, when he was trying to tell me why he had never told the doctor, was that he was afraid they would put him on some zombie pills. If you have ever dealt with mental health at all, you know that some of those pills are very debilitating and make you like a zombie. And so, yeah, I could see why they would think that they'd be zapped away, or that this was an attempt to get rid of them. And so they went into fight or flight mode, self-preservation, and they put me as their enemy.
actually causing me to not show up very well.
Huh?
I think this bright light over here is causing me to look like I'm in a haze or something.
Oh, well, you're kind of pasty and Irish, so.
Well, no, I just mean.
So,
Yes,
that night was.
I had like this whole white glow going on over here.
So, at first I was public enemy number 1, and that night was one of the worst nights of my life. I'm here to tell you that I sit here peacefully beside Ernie's altars without Ernie present, because this is what he wants to do. But, well, Garrett and I never had an issue because he's a gentleman. But, the other ones were quite cruel. But thinking that I am so smart and so loving and accepting and love Ernie so much, I thought that I could stay with these people all night and go toe to toe, not necessarily fight, but I thought if I just kept up with them, found out as much information as possible, like detective shit, and kept them from doing anything silly or bad or crazy or stupid or harmful, that I was doing the right thing. That's very bad. If you love someone and their DID manifests for the first time late in life like this, don't do that. You can give them a safe space. You can make sure that they're physically safe, but you should never try to go toe to toe with alters that you don't know, or if you're not a psychiatrist.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. Listen to that very carefully and let that sink in. If you have not dealt with someone with DID before, don't assume to know what to do.
Yeah. I thought, I would do the who am I speaking with? How old are you? And all that's fine. That's actually correct and okay. But then, of course, I didn't know what next questions to ask. So we would just end up arguing because some of his alters are very deviant. It's just the truth.
Right.
And that is why Garrett had been holding them back.
Right. And when, as Gambit was loving to put it, on the evening that the inmates were loose.
Yeah.
I
And go ahead.
basically lost my my ability to maintain being the gatekeeper and the protector, and it ended up being Xander who took the
what
role.
was fucked up, and I'm gonna say it because people need to know this ain't all roses just because we can sit here now and do this. Xander would not tell me his name for weeks. He just kept coming out and being horribly cruel to me particularly, but also to family members, and he would just cause all kinds of problems.
Right, and not even do them as himself.
Right.
Most of the time, he would actually
say he was Gambit, or say
he would say he was Gambit, or he would say he was a different personality, or he would just outright impersonate the host, Ernie.
And that's what makes Xander very dangerous. Even though he's, I don't know how to say this.
Still very dangerous.
Yes, he's very dangerous in a sense of his narcissism and lack of empathy. But he's actually not, I don't know, we've come to a truce, I guess. It has been ugly, and maybe that's for a whole other video. But for weeks, we didn't know this personality. We didn't know who this was, especially because he was really good at impersonating the others. But because I stuck with it, which do not do, if a person you've known starts behaving this way, you need to just make them safe and make them go to bed or leave. Don't try to be Miss Hero or Captain Save-A-Ho like me. But if that first night I didn't spend the whole night, like didn't sleep, with these alters, I would not have caught a flaw. Xander, we now know as Xander, started mixing up his stories, and his accent started messing up late into the early morning hours. And when it was all over and Ernie returned, I told him that there was this other one. I know there was another one that was pretending to be the other ones. And now we know that person as Xander. And
it took weeks to figure that out.
Weeks. The first name he gave us was Just Call Me the Boss, which is so Xander.
And all the other alters, that's all they referred to him as, is the boss. He's the boss now. I can't do this. The boss won't like it.
And I don't know if you want to talk about it, Garrett, but when you lost control, what happened to you, and how did Xander become the dominant personality? Okay, dominant alter. Your dominant is your one that comes out the most.
I got essentially locked away, cast aside, tormented, till I finally broke, and I wanted, I just wanted everything to be over with, and it's a lot, and I don't want to get into it all. But now I'm at a point where I don't think I have it in me to take control back from Xander. But I've kind of made peace with that.
Garrett is an old soul, and he's extremely kind hearted. And he was strong for 30 years to hold them all back. But it couldn't have been predicted, you know? How could Ernie know that he even had others if he didn't even know about you until he was in his 20s? How could I have known there were others? He even told the doctor there were no others that he was aware of. And so the last 3 months have been highs and lows. I'm not gonna be down or negative, you know, because Ernie's made a lot of progress. He has an excellent doctor who has other DID patients. Xander.
Yeah.
I figured. Xander's back.
So,
were you listening?
I'm always listening.
I know you are. Are you agitated?
No.
You seem a little agitated. All right, well, please. I've been speaking way too long.
So, anyway. Long story short now.
You sound like me.
Alright. So, there's myself. There's Garrett. Garrett's the protector. There's Jeremy. He has no impulse control. He's basically like a fucking stupid teenager.
Bad. Like Jackass the movie on like Adderall.
Yeah. He likes to take pills. He likes to go driving and doing stupid shit, like ramming the car into mailboxes and traffic cones, and
he has a sex addiction.
He got Ernie fired from his job because he was working for Bite Squad, and so he
It's
went.
Not funny. It's not funny.
It's pretty funny.
It's not fucking funny.
It's pretty funny now. He went and picked up a bunch of orders, and instead of delivering them, just went around passing them out to the homeless. So.
That was the most horrible weekend, so I just can't laugh. I can't. It feels wrong to laugh about it because he wrecked.
Ernie's therapist laughed about it.
That's true.
So.
Jeremy, and then
there's Jeremy.
Gambit.
There's Casper, who's a child.
Little.
They
call them littles in the DID world.
There's Samuel, who's the old man that just likes to take naps all the time.
And he saw me naked. That's a story.
The rest are... That's basically the core few that are around a lot. The others... They're basically irrelevant. None of them really have a good quality about them. Because one, all he wants to do is kill people.
I mean, Xander want to...
That's a joke.
Okay, because I thought the whole point of this is to destigmatize.
It was a joke. Sorry, that was an inside joke about an altar I made up named Joseph. That I said, I'll let Joseph out. Joseph just wants to kill everyone.
Yeah, you did do that. Xander is creative.
But
Xander's really smart and very manipulative and cruel. But I don't know, somehow here we are. We just went and had Waffle House.
Yeah. That was good.
And the point of all that is, if you love someone with DID, you're signing up to love all of their alters. And I'm not talking about romantic love, I'm talking about acceptance. And I do believe in the power of respect, mutual respect, even amongst people who might have seen you as an enemy in the beginning. But one thing that needs to be clear, and I think it's really important, and you please back me up if I'm wrong, Xander, is that all systems are different. All.
Yes.
It's just like autism spectrum. Not all people with autism do this present in the same way. All systems are different. Correct. Some systems don't have any hostile alters at all. They're all just cool, laid back and chill, and they serve a purpose. Some systems have multiple genders. Some systems have animals.
Let me keep talking. I'm just cutting this off for a second. I'm not cutting the stream. I'm just taking it off the TV.
And that proceed with caution and just support your loved one with DID and encourage them to get help and start the journey. But ultimately, in order for a system to be at peace, there has to be an agreement reached amongst the host and the alters. The problem is the host cannot communicate with the alters. So the host relies on secondhand recount of the alters' behavior and conversations. And if you're not willing to do that work for your loved one with DID, it's just not for you. You're in the way. It's right now I'm kind of missing Ernie. I haven't seen him since about 9 o'clock. And that's okay. But I guess the point I'm making is that it's not easy, and so I don't want to give anyone the impression that you can just fly through this situation. Are we still live?
Yes.
Okay. Are you trying to play video games?
No. Trying to get them information short so for people, because this is going to be on there and they go back and watch it after we're done broadcasting, so that if they have any questions that they can submit it, and it's something I'll address on the next stream.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's a really good idea. So Ernie's, again, if you're just now grabbing this video or whatever, I'm Micah, and this is Xander. And Xander is an alter of my boyfriend Ernie's system of DID, dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. And Ernie had this idea that he wanted to stream and try to help people to destigmatize what people think about DID, like some of the rude commenters we had earlier that said it's not real.
But also, if it's something that you're struggling with and trying to understand.
Exactly. And so Ernie's therapist encouraged it, and we were sitting at Waffle House a while ago, and Xander said, let's go home and stream. And I was like, cool. And I think it would be better if there were people to. This notebook is right here. You got it out already. I think it'd be easier if people were up and asking questions.
Right, it definitely would be, but catching it at a later time, and then there's something you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And just also, because I'm not able to see the chat right now. Let me go turn here, see. No, okay. It's all just banned messages.
Gotcha.
Right now. I'm trying to find where I have written down. Maybe some of the ways to
because of I don't think we said this earlier, but I don't think that we emphasized it enough. DID is 100% caused by a disturbing childhood trauma. That is the one thing that all people DID sufferers have in common. Therefore, they also usually have coexisting mental health diagnoses like PTSD, depression. And what are you looking for?
Just trying to find my Instagram or my Twitter handle.
I don't know because I'm old, so I use Facebook. But so Ernie has struggled with Ernie, the host, has struggled with PTSD, depression, night terrors, night sweats, talking like full-on sentences in his sleep, which I find funny, but it's really not. It's all trauma response. And sadly, he struggled with addiction in the past. Yeah. And some of the more salacious, interesting things about DID that people always want to hear about are like, for example, Xander is like ambidextrous. Like when I first met Xander, who would not tell me his name, he would use his left hand a lot. But as he's become more comfortable with me, he is the most like Ernie. And he acts like Ernie, and it's really confusing sometimes for me. You probably heard me slip up already and said you or your mom or things like that, because it's kind of freaky. You're losing relevance.
I'm letting you talk.
I've ran out of things to say.
So if you have questions, of course, so you can catch the next stream, be sure to follow the channel, but also follow follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Both should be Xanderos33, I believe.
Is that your Twitch name?
Yes.
So interestingly enough, Xanderos has been his game handle, Twitter handle, Instagram, hashtag, whatever, for years. So when Xander finally revealed his identity, I was like, makes sense. I couldn't wait for Ernie to come back and tell him that his name's Xander. We were both like, yay. That makes sense. And now when Ernie has to go online and check his email and everything else he does online, he has to see his alter's name. That's some of the more salacious material you're looking for about living with DID and loving someone with DID.
Yeah. You can also find Xanderos Dark Sky on Facebook. So you can shoot a friend request over there, and
It's X.
Yeah.
XANDER.
I will spell it out.
They write differently. They eat differently.
They
walk
words differently.
Yes, their levels of intelligences are different. Their ages are different. And anyone that doesn't believe in this disease, you are doing your loved ones a great disservice. And if we can do anything on this channel, it would be... Oh, you missed the N. He might have had a tiny bit of his prescription drugs before this stream.
Yeah. It's the only reason why I'm probably as hospitable as I am.
He thinks he's such a badass.
Where's my phone? I'm gonna call 911.
It's too soon. It's too soon. We'll tell you about it later. We'll tell you about it later. I think we actually need to do an entire video just about you.
Probably.
They got to meet Garrett.
I'm where I let Garrett out.
Why?
Because Garrett wanted to talk. He said, "You're going to scare people off. Let me talk to them."
Oh, he said, you're going to scare people off?
Yeah. Well, his exact words were, "You're going to get them fucking banned." He dropped an F-bomb on me.
If Garrett says the F word, shit got real. Are we supposed to have like high-tech shit that like pops up on the screen with this shit on it?
Yes, but that costs money.
And right now all of our money is going to therapy and
Yes.
trying to save this relationship.
Right.
By Fuck It Fridays, which is something that Ernie and I do after a work week. Kind of go spend some money that we don't have. We call it Fuck It Fridays because fuck it. Just to give us a little happiness. Dude, you're doing too much.
I'm just making it so that it can pick up.
Okay. I really wish that you could meet Ernie, and I'm sure you will. Ernie is a lot quieter than his alters. And I don't know if he necessarily wants to... It's his idea. This is what he's wanting to do, but it seems that his alters have initiated it so far.
Yeah, because we're not sitting in the back seat anymore. We like the idea too. So.
You like the idea?
Why? I mean, I did say let's... I mean, is this or watch Titans, you know?
He did. He said, let's go home and watch Titans. And then he said, no, let's go home and stream. And I said, you want me to be in it? Because let's just be honest, Sander and I don't always get along.
No, it would have been interesting to see a spat ensue, but...
No, I made a promise. We're in a truce right now.
I'll be the one to break it at some point.
Thanks.
I'm just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. You know I got them stare down eyes. We can see who... We can have a blinking contest.
You
see
know
who
I
wins.
got that patient silent treatment.
Yeah, and you know I can talk for hours.
You think these motherfuckers don't talk for fucking hours? Talking. One person is nothing compared to the fucking horde.
That's what we should call them. The Horde.
The only reason I don't call it that is because that's what they called it on Split.
Oh, they did. Yeah, no, that's not a good idea. No, we don't. We're not. We're original in this family. Anyways, if you find yourself meeting someone with DID or falling for someone with DID as a singlet, we are called singlets because we do not have alters. I am a singlet, but I also have other mental issues stemming from PTSD, trauma, things like that. I do not have alters. But this is a very open channel where we plan to be honest because we actually want to help. But as a singlet, oh, you got it.
I think. Let's see.
Move your pinkies.
I'm trying.
There you go.
So, Xandro Starks guy. Add this on Facebook. And you have questions, I will go through them. Just send them to the inbox on Messenger. And, I'll go through them all. And then I'll address them on the next stream. If you happen to find Ernie's Facebook page, message him first or message me first, because if you want to add them, ask first, and I'll leave it up to him whether or not he wants you added to his page or not, because that's where I believe all the
family members.
That's where all his family members and stuff are. But that's also every time a stream is about to go live, that's where the notification is going to go to, is on his page. So, yeah. So, yeah, right. Just message me with questions.
That was interesting.
And, yeah, and I'll, but, like I said, be sure to follow, and if you can find the Twitter and Instagram and all that, I'll try my best to figure out how to send an alert to all those that we're about to go live. But, the simplest way not to miss one is to just follow the channel.
And we have so many stories, and it would be helpful if people ask questions, because that's how I've been learning from others online. There are other systems online that I follow that I've learned so much from.
Right. And, the only stupid question is the question unasked, so,
yeah. Oh, we didn't tell them? The inner world.
Well, we'll get into all that.
Like what it is.
We'll get on.
Let's end on like a cliffhanger thing. Like let's give them something at the end here.
The inner world is something is where we all live, and it's something that you would not believe.
Ooh, hold for the next stream to find out what it is.
Yep, we'll get into that and answer any questions that we receive in the meantime. I'll write them down and all that to make sure to address them. I'll write down your name and everything so everybody knows who the questions came from. Unless you don't want me to, if you want it to be anonymous, leave it in the question that you want it to be anonymous, and that's not a problem. Otherwise, I will respond to you directly. One of us will. You may not talk to me. You might talk to Garrett. You might talk to Jeremy. You might talk to Casper. You might even talk to Samuel.
I don't think Samuel knows how to use the phones, because remember he said that he said Xander told me to give you this box thingy.
Well, I'll set his old ass up on the stream, give him a piece of paper, and say, just look right here towards this here light, sir. And you just read right there what I wrote.
You're naked. I'm telling y'all, we have stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're still just at the beginning.
We still don't know what the hell we're doing, but where there's love, there's a way.
Yeah. Which, speaking of love, I mean, I'll go ahead and point to one of the best things I've ever received in my life. Now,
so I made this for Ernie, the host. It says, no matter how far you go, or how long you stay away, or where you slip away to, I will always be there when you return. Love, Micah. And then the middle part's important too. It says, you won't forget a woman like her easily anyway. Once you cross paths with magic, it's hard to see life the same.
which makes sense because he has always called her his magic Micah. And then
Except
this is
I don't strip. I just strip by accident.
His personal superhero now is Moon Knight. Because Moon Knight actually has a DID. So, with that, we're gonna bring the stream to a close and catch you next time. Bye.
You can see all your Chuck Taylors and shit.